He found his wife in bed with 3 strangers at a celebrity's hotel party. 6 months later, he was working directly for the superstar while she was left alone and broken. Watch till the end. Please subscribe and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. The message appeared on my screen at the worst possible moment. I was presenting quarterly reports to the board when my Apple Watch vibrated with a notification. Normally, I would ignore it, but something made me glance down. The text preview from my wife Vanessa made my blood freeze. Sorry, but tonight I'm meeting him. Don't wait up. I need this once in my life. I finished my presentation on autopilot, somehow maintaining composure while my mind raced through possibilities. 15 years of marriage, and never had I imagined reading something like this. As soon as the meeting ended, I retreated to my office and unlocked my phone with trembling hands. The full message was worse than the preview. Derek, I know this will hurt you, but I need to be honest. Jason Winters is in town for his concert tour. My friends from college got VIP backstage passes, and he specifically asked to meet me after seeing our group photo. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I've fantasized about him since I was 16. I need this one night. Don't wait up. We can talk tomorrow when I get home. Jason Winters. The chart-topping music sensation whose face was plastered across billboards and whose songs played constantly on every radio station. The man whose concert Vanessa had begged to attend despite the ridiculous ticket prices. The man whose music she played incessantly around our house. I stared at my phone, reading and rereading her message, wondering if this was some kind of sick joke. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. The signs had been there for weeks. Vanessa had been distant, spending hours getting ready before going out with her college friends, coming home late smelling of expensive cologne, her stories becoming increasingly inconsistent. What bewildered me most was her brazenness. Not the careful deception of a typical affair, but an outright declaration. Perhaps she thought celebrity infidelity existed in some moral gray area, or maybe she simply didn't care anymore about our vows. I called her immediately, but the call went straight to voicemail. I texted, asking her to call me back to talk about this. No response. Finally, I texted, "Where are you right now? We need to talk about this." Her reply came quickly, "Hotel Royale downtown, but please don't come here. I'll be home tomorrow." The Hotel Royale. The most expensive hotel in the city, known for hosting celebrities and dignitaries. Of course, that's where he would stay. I sat in my office staring blankly at my computer screen. My colleagues walked past, oblivious to the fact that my world was crumbling. I thought about our years together, the home we had built, the future we had planned. All of it potentially destroyed for one night with a man who wouldn't remember her name by morning. What happened next requires explanation. I'm not impulsive by nature. I'm a financial analyst, a man who evaluates risks and rewards, who calculates odds and makes decisions based on data. But at that moment, a plan formed in my mind that defied all rational thinking. I called my longtime friend Alex, who worked as head of security at the Hotel Royale. "Alex, I need a massive favor," I said when he answered. "Derek, you sound terrible. What's going on?" I explained the situation as briefly as I could. There was a long pause on the line. "Jesus, Derek, I'm sorry, man. What do you need?" "Is he really staying there, Jason Winters?" "Yeah, penthouse suite. Arrived yesterday with his entourage. The place is crawling with his security team." "I need to get in there tonight." Another long pause. "Derek, think about what you're asking. Even for me this is. I'm not going to create a scene. I just need to see for myself. Please, Alex, 15 years of friendship. I've never asked for anything like this before." I heard him sigh. "Meet me at the service entrance at 8 p.m. But Derek, I can only get you into the hotel, not his suite. And if anyone asks, we never had this conversation." "Thank you, I owe you. Just don't do anything stupid." After hanging up, I sat motionless for several minutes. Then I called in sick for the remainder of the day and drove home to prepare. Our bedroom still smelled of Vanessa's perfume. Her discarded outfit choices lay across our bed, evidence of her careful preparation for her rendezvous. I opened her drawer and found the lingerie section nearly empty. The special pieces she had saved for our anniversaries and special occasions were gone, presumably packed for her night with a stranger who happened to be famous. I showered and dressed carefully, choosing my best suit, the one Vanessa had always said made me look distinguished. I styled my hair, applied the cologne she had given me for Christmas. If I was going to confront my wife and her celebrity lover, I would at least look my best while doing it. As I was leaving, I noticed our wedding photo on the dresser. I picked it up, studying Vanessa's face, searching for clues I might have missed. We looked so happy, so full of promise. I placed the photo face down and left the room. The drive downtown was surreal. The city lights blurred as my mind constructed scenarios of what might happen. Would I find them together? Would I confront them? What would I say? Would it make any difference? I arrived at the Hotel Royale at precisely 8 p.m. and texted Alex. Minutes later, he appeared at the service entrance looking nervous. "Derek," he said, gripping my shoulder, "last chance to reconsider. I need to do this." He nodded grimly and led me through the service corridors of the luxury hotel. "Winters and his entourage have booked the entire top floor," he explained in a hushed voice. "Security is tight, but I've put you on the approved list as hotel management. This key card will get you to the penthouse level, but not into any rooms." "What about Vanessa? Have you seen her?" Alex hesitated. "There was a group of women who went up about an hour ago." "I didn't get a good look, but it could have been her." My stomach clenched. "How many women?" "5 or 6. Apparently Winters often invites groups of fans after shows for private parties." The implication hung in the air between us. My wife wasn't even going to be his only conquest of the night. "Here," Alex said, handing me a key card. "This will get you to the penthouse floor. After that, you're on your own." "Thank you," I said, taking the card. "Derek," Alex said, his expression grave, "whatever happens up there, remember that some things can't be unseen. Are you sure you want to do this?" I wasn't sure of anything anymore, but I nodded anyway. "I have to know." The elevator ride to the penthouse level was the longest of my life. Each floor that passed seemed to bring me closer to the end of my marriage. When the doors finally opened, I stepped into a plush corridor where 2 large men in black suits immediately approached me. "Can I help you, sir?" one asked, his tone making it clear that help was the last thing he intended to offer. I straightened my jacket. "Hotel management. We've had noise complaints from the floor below." The guards exchanged glances. Mr. Winters was assured complete privacy, and the hotel would like to ensure he continues to have it. Addressing the complaints now prevents any potential issues with other guests or the press. I'll be quick and discreet. They seemed to weigh this, then the first guard nodded. "Fine, but make it fast." I walked past them, heart hammering in my chest. The corridor led to a large set of double doors, presumably the entrance to the penthouse suite. Music pulsed from behind them, the bass vibrating through the floor. I stood there, frozen. What was my plan exactly? To knock and ask for my wife back, to create a scene, to fight a celebrity and his security team? Before I could decide, the doors opened and a woman stumbled out, laughing. She was followed by a man who wasn't Jason Winters. They were both clearly intoxicated, and they didn't notice me standing there as they made their way to another room, hands all over each other. The doors remained open, giving me a view of the penthouse. It was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the city lights. The room was full of people, more than I had expected. Men and women in various states of undress, drinking, laughing, some dancing to the loud music. I stepped inside, scanning the crowd for Vanessa. No one paid me any attention as I moved through the throng of beautiful people. The air was thick with the scent of alcohol, perfume, and something else I couldn't quite identify. I moved deeper into the penthouse, through the main living area, and toward what appeared to be more private rooms. The music grew fainter as I walked down a corridor lined with closed doors. I tried to listen at each door, feeling like a detective in some noir film. Most were silent, but from one I heard muffled voices. I hesitated, then quietly turned the handle and pushed the door open slightly. The scene before me would be forever burned into my memory. A large bedroom, dimly lit by the city lights streaming through the windows. And there, on a massive bed, was Vanessa. But she wasn't with Jason Winters. She was with 2 men I didn't recognize and another woman. I must have made a sound because suddenly Vanessa looked up and saw me. Her eyes widened in shock and something else. Shame, fear, it was hard to tell in the dim light. "Derek," she gasped. The others turned to look at me, but they seemed more annoyed than embarrassed by the interruption. "Who's this?" one of the men asked. "My husband," Vanessa whispered. The room fell silent, even the distant music seemed to fade away. "You should join us, man," the other man said with a laugh. "Your wife is amazing." Something snapped inside me, not rage as I might have expected, but a cold, clear certainty. I looked directly at Vanessa, whose face had drained of color. "Enjoy your night with your superstar," I said quietly. "I won't be home when you get back." I turned and walked out, closing the door behind me. I made my way back through the party, past the oblivious revelers, past the security guards who barely glanced at me, and into the elevator. In the mirrored walls of the elevator, I caught sight of my reflection. I looked the same as I had when I arrived, and yet everything had changed. My marriage was over. The life I had built was over, and strangely, I felt a sort of calm acceptance washing over me. Alex was waiting for me in the lobby. One look at my face told him everything he needed to know. "Let me buy you a drink," he said, placing a hand on my shoulder. We sat in the hotel bar, and I told him what I had seen. He listened without interruption, ordering another round when my glass was empty. "What will you do now?" he asked when I finished. "I don't know," I admitted, "but I can't go back to that house tonight." "Stay at my place," he offered. "The guest room is all yours." I nodded gratefully. As we were leaving the bar, my phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. "Where are you? We need to talk. Please come back to the hotel." I turned off my phone without responding. Alex's apartment was sparse but comfortable. He showed me to the guest room and left me with a spare toothbrush and a promise to talk more in the morning. Alone in the unfamiliar room, I finally let the emotions wash over me. Not just the betrayal of finding Vanessa with others, but the realization that our entire relationship had been built on something less substantial than I had believed. Had she ever truly loved me? Had she been faithful before tonight? How many times had she lied to my face? I didn't sleep much that night. By morning, I had made some decisions. I showered, borrowed a clean shirt from Alex, and thanked him for his hospitality. "What's your plan?" he asked over coffee. "I'm going to the office, then I have some arrangements to make. I'll probably need to impose on your guest room for a few more nights if that's okay. Stay as long as you need, and Derek, I'm here if you want to talk more." I nodded, grateful for his friendship. Then I turned my phone back on. 23 missed calls from Vanessa, dozens of text messages ranging from apologetic to angry to pleading. I read through them without responding. The last one, sent an hour ago, caught my attention. "I'm at home waiting. Please come talk to me. I can explain everything." I doubted any explanation could change what I had seen, but I decided to go home anyway. I needed clothes, documents, and other personal items if I was going to stay at Alex's for a while. Our house looked exactly as I had left it, which seemed wrong somehow. Shouldn't there be some external sign of the destruction that had occurred? Vanessa's car was in the driveway, and I braced myself as I unlocked the front door. She was sitting in the living room, still wearing last night's clothes, her makeup smeared, her hair disheveled. She looked up when I entered, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "Derek," she said, standing up. "Thank God. I've been so worried." "Have you?" I asked, keeping my distance. "Please let me explain. Last night wasn't what it looked like." I raised an eyebrow. "It looked like you were having sex with 2 men and a woman, none of whom were Jason Winters, by the way. Was I mistaken?" She flinched. "No, but it wasn't planned. Things just got out of control. The drinks were flowing, and before I knew it." "Before you knew it, you ended up in an orgy. That's your explanation." Tears welled in her eyes. "I never meant to hurt you. It was supposed to be just one night. A fantasy." "A fantasy of cheating on your husband with a celebrity? How long have you been planning this, Vanessa? Was it spontaneous when you packed your lingerie, when you texted me not to wait up? When you deliberately chose to break our vows?" "I made a terrible mistake," she sobbed. "But it doesn't have to end our marriage. We can work through this, go to counseling, start fresh." I looked at this woman, this stranger wearing my wife's face, and felt nothing but a deep, aching disappointment. Where was Jason Winters in all this? Wasn't he the whole point of your one night? She looked away. "He was with other women. Apparently I wasn't special enough to hold his attention." The irony might have been amusing if it wasn't so tragic. My wife had thrown away our marriage for a celebrity who hadn't even wanted her. I'm moving out, I said. I'll be staying with Alex for a while until I figure out next steps. No, please, she begged, grabbing my arm. Don't leave, I love you. Last night was a mistake, but it doesn't erase 15 years together. No, it doesn't, but it changes everything. I need time to think. I gently removed her hand and went upstairs to pack a bag. She followed, pleading, promising, apologizing. I tuned her out as I gathered clothes, toiletries, important documents, and a few personal items. As I was leaving, she blocked the doorway. What about counseling? Don't we at least owe ourselves that much? I considered her question seriously. Did we owe our marriage another chance after what I had witnessed? Could we ever rebuild trust? I don't know, Vanessa. Right now I need space. I'll contact you when I'm ready to talk. She stepped aside, tears streaming down her face. I'll wait for you, however long it takes. I nodded and walked out, unsure if I would ever return. The next weeks passed in a blur. I stayed at Alex's, went to work, and tried to make sense of my new reality. Vanessa called and texted constantly at first, then less frequently as the days passed. I responded just enough to let her know I was alive, but not enough to engage in any real conversation. I consulted a lawyer who advised me on my options. Divorce seemed the obvious choice, but something held me back from filing immediately. Not hope for reconciliation exactly, but a reluctance to make permanent decisions while still processing my emotions. 1 month after that night at the Hotel Royale, I agreed to meet Vanessa for coffee. She looked different, smaller somehow, like the events had diminished her physically as well as morally. Thank you for meeting me, she said, her voice trembling slightly. I nodded, waiting for her to continue. I've been seeing a therapist, she said, trying to understand why I did what I did. It wasn't about Jason Winters, not really. It was about feeling desired, feeling special. Our marriage had become so routine and you decided the solution was to cheat rather than talk to me. I interrupted, keeping my voice low despite my anger. She winced. I know, it was unforgivable, but Derek, is there any chance at all that you could consider trying again? 15 years together has to count for something. I studied her face, searching for the woman I had fallen in love with, the woman I thought I knew. Would you have told me if I hadn't shown up? Or would you have come home the next day and lied to my face? She looked down at her coffee. I don't know, I'd like to think I would have been honest, but I can't say for sure. At least she was being truthful now. I need more time, Vanessa. This isn't a decision I can make over coffee. She nodded, hope and despair warring in her expression. I understand, I'll wait, however long it takes. We parted without resolution, and I returned to Alex's apartment to continue my suspended life. Another month passed. Summer turned to fall. I found a small apartment of my own and moved out of Alex's guest room. Vanessa and I spoke occasionally, brief conversations about practical matters like bills and the house. Then, in October, something unexpected happened. I received a text message from an unknown number. Is this Derek Hamilton? This is Jason Winters' assistant. Mr. Winters would like to speak with you regarding an incident at the Hotel Royale in August. Please call this number at your earliest convenience. I stared at the message in disbelief. Why would Jason Winters want to speak with me? What could he possibly have to say that I would want to hear? Curiosity won out, and I called the number. After verifying my identity with the assistant, I was put through to Jason Winters himself. Mr. Hamilton, he said, his voice instantly recognizable from radio interviews and television appearances. Thank you for taking my call. What do you want? I asked, not bothering with pleasantries. I want to apologize, he said, surprising me. I recently became aware of what happened with your wife at my after-party. I was indisposed for most of that evening, but my security team informed me of the incident when they reviewed the night's events. And I want you to know that this isn't how I conduct myself or my business. Those men were not part of my entourage. They were associates of the hotel manager who had access to the party without my knowledge. What happened to your wife was not something I condone. I laughed bitterly. My wife made her own choices. She wasn't a victim. Perhaps not, he conceded. But I still feel a responsibility. My name and my event were part of what led to the end of your marriage, and for that, I'm truly sorry. His apology seemed genuine, which only made the situation more surreal. Thank you for the call, Mr. Winters, but an apology doesn't fix anything. I understand, but I'd like to make amends in some way. My assistant tells me you're a financial analyst. My team is looking for someone with your expertise for an upcoming project. It would be well compensated, of course. Was he offering me a job as some sort of consolation prize? I'm not interested in your charity. It's not charity, Mr. Hamilton. It's a legitimate business opportunity. Think about it. My assistant will send you the details. Before I could refuse again, he had ended the call. True to his word, an email arrived minutes later with information about a consulting position related to an investment venture Winters was launching. The salary was astronomical, the work interesting, and it would require relocation to Los Angeles. Under normal circumstances, it would be a dream opportunity. But these weren't normal circumstances. I forwarded the email to my boss, seeking his professional opinion on the legitimacy of the offer. His response was immediate: "Take it. This is the opportunity of a lifetime." Still, I hesitated. Taking the job felt like allowing Vanessa's infidelity to dictate the course of my life, even if it was steering me toward something positive. I decided to meet with Vanessa one more time before making a decision. We met at our house, which she had been maintaining in my absence. "You've received a job offer," I said after we had exchanged greetings. She looked confused. "No, I haven't. Not you, me, from Jason Winters." Her face went pale. "What, how, why?" I explained the call, the apology, the job offer. She listened in stunned silence. "Are you going to take it?" she asked when I finished. "I don't know. It's an incredible opportunity professionally, but the circumstances—" She nodded, understanding. "You're worried it's somehow tainted because of how it came about, because of me." "Yes." She was quiet for a moment, then spoke with more clarity and insight than I had heard from her in months. "Take the job, Derek, not for me, not for him, but for yourself. Don't let what happened between us destroy an opportunity that could change your life for the better." I studied her, surprised by her selflessness. "If I move to Los Angeles, what happens to us, to whatever this limbo state is that we're in?" She smiled sadly. "I think we both know the answer to that." And I did. The marriage had been over the moment I opened that door at the Hotel Royale. We had been going through the motions, delaying the inevitable. "I'll file the divorce papers before I leave," I said, the decision suddenly clear. She nodded, tears filling her eyes but not falling. "I think that's for the best." We talked for a while longer about the house, about the division of assets, about practical matters that seemed trivial compared to the emotional weight of our separation. Yet there was a new lightness between us, the relief of a decision finally made. As I was leaving, Vanessa stopped me at the door. "Derek, I truly am sorry, not just for that night, but for everything that led to it. The distance I created, the lies I told myself and you." "I know," I said, and was surprised to find I meant it. Goodbye, Vanessa. 3 months later, I was settled in Los Angeles, working directly with Jason Winters' investment team. The job was challenging and rewarding, the city vibrant and full of new experiences. The divorce had been finalized quickly, with Vanessa being more than fair in the settlement. Jason Winters himself rarely came to the office, but when he did, he was professional and respectful. We never discussed that night at the Hotel Royale again. It was an unspoken agreement that the past was behind us. One evening, as I was leaving the office, my phone buzzed with a text message from Vanessa. "Just saw the announcement about Winter's new venture. Your name was mentioned as a key advisor. I'm proud of you, Derek. I hope you're happy in your new life." I stared at the message, unsure how to respond. Finally, I typed, "Thank you, I am. I hope you are finding your way too." Her reply came quickly, "Working on it, one day at a time." I put my phone away and walked to my car, reflecting on the strange twists of fate that had brought me to this point. My wife had wanted a night with a superstar, a fantasy that had destroyed our marriage. And now here I was, working for that very same superstar, building a new life from the ashes of the old one. There's an old saying that living well is the best revenge. I don't think of my new life as revenge, though. I think of it as redemption. Not for Vanessa, not for Jason Winters, but for me. A second chance I never expected. As I drove home through the Los Angeles traffic, the sun setting over the Pacific, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in months. The past was behind me, and the future, unexpected and unplanned as it was, stretched out before me with promise. Vanessa had gotten her night with a superstar, though not in the way she had imagined. And I had gotten something too, a reminder that endings can also be beginnings, and that sometimes the worst night of your life can lead to the best years of your life. I never did tell Vanessa that Jason Winters had been unconscious in his private suite that night, having consumed too much alcohol and other substances. That the men she had been with were not his friends or associates, but opportunists who had taken advantage of the situation. That her fantasy had never had a chance of becoming reality. Some truths are better left untold, especially when the fiction has already done its damage. And as for me, I gave my wife the night she would never forget, though not in the way either of us had anticipated. A night that ended one chapter of our lives and began another. A night that taught me that sometimes the most unexpected outcomes arise from the most painful betrayals. Life, I've learned, has a strange way of evening the score.